Welcome back, all of you. It's about LCDS Part 2, an introduction. A moment ago, I was talking about literary criticism and the need for paying closer attention to the text. But now, we also need to talk about context. Text and context go together in literary criticism. When it comes to context in LCDS, what are the things one can talk about? Well, things such as discrimination, governmentality, problems such as debility and subalternity. Let me give a taste of what these topics can do when it came to context. Discrimination. Well, disability is a matter of bodily effect. Carol Thomas calls it impairment effects. For example, I cannot see. That's a so obvious thing to say. So it has some effects on my life, my professional mobility, social mobility, personal mobility, and so on. But it also blindness also comes with context of discrimination. For example, studying somebody's autobiography contextually, for example, autobiography of an acid attack survivor would give insights of discrimination based on gender. The specific workings of patriarchy in that part of the world where this person was attacked by an acid attack. Discriminations that thrive in the world of intimacy as much as public life, and discrimination that can thrive within the family too, right? So, so discrimination is not a catch-all, noisy term. It is specific. It can be specific to modes of self-expression such as poem and autobiography, as much as specific to context where such literary forms thrive and flourish. Okay? What about a context or term such as governmentality? Well, this is a much circulated term in humanities and social sciences scholarship, which is by and large Foucauldian. Now, by governmentality, I mean the sets of instructions, procedures, arrangements, isms, and discourses that make institutions possible, and these institutions connected with governing people. And what are governing things? Governing things need not be just Panchayat Raj and so on. It could be anything that governs us from inside, not necessarily from outside, which is the obvious thing to say. Things that govern us from inside include our education, sense of body, sense of discipline, sense of parenting, sense of childhood, sense of good mannerism, politeness, many, many things. Okay? Studying governmentality as a context can reveal a lot about disability performance, how one is required to perform in certain context, say in the classroom, where there is no support available. In under governmentality, one can study assistive technology, because if I have recourse to certain kinds of assistive technology, such as Braille. For example, I am performing with Braille now in my lecture. If not for the Braille, I won't be having a constant reinforcement, textual reinforcement, to give a coherent talk in front of a huge audience. Right? So, there is this interesting word, debility. Debility is structurally caused disability. In the previous course, I have mentioned about debility, where certain structures can cause disability. For example, malnutrition, environmental toxicity, patriarchy. These are all environmentally caused disability. And most importantly, for our reason, one cannot get into understanding of literature about literature and its link with the disability without having any understanding of things such as debility. How can you, for example, teach a poem by women about their everyday life without necessarily talking about debilities that come to them because of environmental degradation? Because by and large, women give care, they do hard work in collecting resources for the family. For example, many poor women go with, kudam utensils to get water. They can walk 10 kilometers in arid region to get water and to give care for children. How can you read such a story and not pay any attention to a concept such as debility, which is environmentally caused, which is purposely made by humans to other humans? Similarly, contexts such as subalternity, they are all not just abstract terms. They are lived realities, lived expressions, and animated livelihoods. So, in the literary criticism model, we will pay closer attention to texts and contexts, so that many genres and literary forms animate in our classroom in a very that involves creative tension. That's my understanding in introducing this module. The third module, which involves this course, is the multilingual question of multilingualism. This is my most favorite section. Look, multilingualism is not a hodgepodge of languages. Like I speak in English, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, and so on. So that's not multilingual. Well, that's a truism. But multilingualism is an idea which is open to the idea that language is not the stuff that merely spoken by vocally articulated. Multilingualism is a true multivalent, true expression, is a human expression that is come from all directions. For example, in this lecture, my body language is involved. I articulate in certain way in English. I wear a kind of dress which may be a statement. My audience, my connect with my audience is mediated through the digital system marked by HTML language and so on. My audience may be eating coffee or dosa and listening in English. So, multilingualism is it's not connected to a switch over between languages. It is the nature of human expression which involves different media, different registers, different modes of self-expression, different support systems, and so on. That is why disability is such a potent medium to understand multilingualism. For example, one may seek recourse to Braille, which is a tactile medium. One may recourse to sign language, which is a manual medium. One may recourse to artificial speech, speech synthesizer, which is a digital medium. One may breathe through support system. One may use an amanuensis or a scribe for dictation. So, here dictation is a new modality of self-expression. One may use paid assistance to navigate social world. One may express through some other person. Suppose I am critically unwell. My caregiver will be my voice. Here, my will is belonging to one person and the voice belongs to some other person. I am just giving you examples so that you see the point about the idea of multilingualism being included as a module in itself. At the end of the day, a condition such as disability is also a matter of translation. There is a edited volume on translation, translating disability by Dr. Someshwar. I think I will revisit the volume, a couple of chapters to illustrate a point or two about the disability and the translation question. Okay. So, whether you are a historian, anthropologist, literary critic, sociologist, or simply a caregiver, listening to this lecture, you will appreciate the role of translating from one modality to another, from one medium to another, from one person to another, that is happening via disability. To illustrate in this introductory lecture the point about translation and the multilingual question, I am going to read a great poem on Braille by Stephen Kuusisto. I will read for you. In the dark books are living things, quiescent as cats. Each time we lift them, we feel again the ache of amazement under summer stars. It's a dread thing to be lonely without reason. But the poem continues, but I stop here. Let me explain the point about multilingualism, teasing out meaning from these 4-5 lines. In the dark books are living things. It's a kind of teasing out the idea that Braille books are dark things. Well, it's the idea that it is not something sight would like to entertain. It's the Braille material is meant for blind people. Perhaps they are unaware of the living things that animate in Braille. It's a kind of a active language, active transcription, active mode of knowledge beyond the regular sight. You see, whatever is not seeable is dark, but whatever can be touched need not be dark. They can be animate things. The dark books are living things. Gosh, living things. When I touch this, something's animate in my head. They come alive. Quiescent as cats. Like what? Quiescent. They say cats own people. Quiescent. Each time we lift them, we feel again. Feel what? The ache of amazement. Lift them what? Perhaps lifting things in the mind, or lift fingers when I go from one line to another. Again, a reference to the medium of Braille, the way you read. When you read regular print, your eyes scan the lines. They mark one line. When you read, you can also scan the next paragraph. You can scan horizontally, vertically. In some sense, you horizontally move like a ruler on the page using eyesight. But the Braille requires a different bodily enunciation. It's a different medium. The understanding Braille will not only require an understanding, a political understanding, that it is a medium of acquiring knowledge, but a phenomenological understanding of how Braille animates in a Braille reader. Just like how you need to have a phenomenological understanding of regular print. For example, if you read on books, and if you like reading on books, you don't necessarily appreciate reading on Kindle or mobile app. I've heard many of my friends talk loudly about the smell of book, the feeling of book. Some even touch a little bit to the point where they are reading. It is a truly immersive experience. Similarly, Braille reading also is a truly immersive hand juggling, finger play, finger mobility, finger scramble. Each finger does a different job. Index finger to thumb. Thumb may hold the book, while index finger moves from both the index fingers can move from one position to another, positioning, grappling, thinking, and animating all happen through the movement of fingers, lifting, non-lifting, meditating, and so on. Right. So that's the phenomenology of the medium of Braille, a taste that Kuusisto gives. The ache of amazement, because Braille books are not plenty out there. The knowledge, the amount of knowledge is still lesser. So therefore, one gets the ache. It's like the ache in the heart when something beautiful emanates under your fingertip, which is so personal. Under the summer stars. It's a dread thing to be lonely without reason. Gosh. Because if there is no personal touch with knowledge, you feel lonely and wretched. Oh, many of us have been there in the classrooms where we don't connect to what is being lectured to. Suppose you and I don't connect with each other via this medium, then learning doesn't take place for both of us, right? So, therefore, it is lonely to be without reason, and the reason comes via Braille. Okay, so what did I say so far? The multilingualism component is not about just putting things, different languages like a toolbox. It is the lived reality which involved multiple human expressions that come with disability and disability care. And that's the module we will be handling, including the translation question. Okay. Here again we will be running through different modes of learning. We'll be talking about dyslexia and the language question, Braille and the language question, sign language and the language question. Okay. Memory, philosophy of mind and the language question, and the language contracts, and many more. After all, this course is also shows different methods and approaches to doing things. So therefore, I would like to develop the course in that sense. And the fourth module is about the moral politics, the problem of accommodation, where I talk about many things, teaching literary disability studies, interpreting with some interpretative ethics of care in teaching and learning literature with a disability component, the moral politics that go with it. I sincerely feel the problem of accommodation is as much an important question as much as the literary question. I'd like to share you an example and then close this lecture. Okay. I have cited this elsewhere, but never mind, I can do this again with you. When I was doing PhD, my supervisor is Timothy Cribb. So I used to write, as I always did for some time, for last 10-15 years, with my screen reader. And I used to make many mistakes in sentence construction. For example, I used to fill my sentences with many commas wherever it is not necessarily also the comma used to be there. And my supervisor was surprised. Why do you have to place a comma here? I don't see the need. Then he came up with a great plan. Okay, Hema, I will come and sit with you while you read something. I want to know how you read. Then I opened a book on my laptop and made JAWS my screen reader to read the essay, some essay. And JAWS was making frequent pauses in reading these sentences. And it seems wherever JAWS made a pause, I developed an impulse to place a comma there. Oh, Tim cracked the problem. It seems your screen reading habit is prompting you to insert a comma where there is a pause. Once I became familiar with my reading habit and its impact on my writing, I stopped making mistakes connected to punctuation. That's it. Lesson learned for life. Well, what is the comment I'm trying to make? The importance of interpreting something, making a very fine literary interpretation about disability, is as important as the knowledge about how a knowledge is coming to be acquired by somebody with a specific condition, say dyslexia, a left-hand person with visual impairment, a person learning a foreign language, with some cognitive impairment, and so on. So, in the accommodation module, I'll talk about the literary and the literal, the literacy problems, the language questions, and so on. Okay, so these are the 4 modules that I'll be working with you for 12 weeks. Of course, like the previous course, I will have some interviews with performance artists, pedagogues, and many people around. And for the best part of it, I'll be sitting or literally standing with you and teasing out some problems connected to LCDS, Literary and Cultural Disability Studies. Welcome to the course. Thank you.